Good day, hello YouTube. I recently bought an acreage, a very small acreage, a lake lot, half an acre, and needed a tool to prep a garage pad, do some cleanup around the place. It was fairly neglected, so I decided to pick up one of these Chinese skid steers, and I got the Machpro MPS330, it's called. Found it on Facebook Marketplace in Calgary, and brought it home, paid $4,100 for it. And because my back was injured, it was a little tough to do some of the shoveling and whatever, and it was way too much for one guy to do anyways. So I used this little machine to see I'm building a garage pad there, but underneath the garage pad originally was an old parking pad. And this whole driveway as well was all just covered over with grass and sod. And what I needed to do is peel all that sod and grass back. And then I discovered 8 inches of really nice gravel underneath this parking pad that was here. So I bought this little machine so that I could scrape all that sod off, get that gravel out and use it to gravel the driveway, which I did. And so with this little machine, I cleared all the topsoil out, piled it to the side, got the gravel out, did the driveway, and all the way up to the house and all around here to keep everything nice and tidy. Later on maybe I'll pave or something. But the machine proved pretty useful already. I was able to dig all that gravel out, and then I went to work leveling the area for the pad. So that meant a lot of clay. It was moist clay. And this little machine actually had no problem taking all that out, piling it to the side, and getting ready for the garage pad construction. After I got the garage poured, I did some backfill and some grading on the topsoil on the side here for drainage next year, and I've got more to do once we get the building up, and that'll probably happen next year. But as you can see, this little machine here moved a ton of gravel and redid my whole driveway, because this was all grass in here. And then yeah, prepped the whole area, got ready for the garage pad, and then started putting it in. So as for the machine, can't say too much about it yet, except that it hasn't given me any problems. I haven't had to make any adjustments. It's shipped with braking oil. So I ran it about 9 hours, low duty cycle, just half throttle, and let that braking oil do its thing. And then I swapped that oil out for some synthetic 10W30 in the engine, which is a 420 cc, looks like a Chinese knockoff engine of a Briggs and Stratton or something like that. And it's probably 12.5 horse, I'm not sure. 25 horse, sorry, 25 horse, single cylinder, air cooled. This particular model doesn't have an hydraulic oil cooler. After I started using this, one of my neighbors stopped by, and he actually bought an identical machine that did have an oil cooler, and I kind of wish I had it, but it hasn't really hurt me not having that oil cooler. I run it till it's about 50 degrees Celsius, in which case I just gave it a little break, which I probably want to take a break anyways, and then and the temperature comes down fairly quickly in the hydraulic reservoir here, and you can see it's got a nice little sight glass. There's the engine, hydraulic pump, batteries in there, the control banks, and there's a little prop rod here to hold the hood up. So I have had zero complaints about this little machine so far. I haven't had to make any adjustments. Nothing's broken, nothing's gone out of the way. Digging through the hard clay as I was without a tooth bucket, just a straight bucket, had no problem. It's still a nice sharp edge. It's a quick release bucket. Got the the auxiliary hydraulic controls there if you want to put another attachment on it. Yeah, it's got good lifting power. It lifts quite a bit actually. There's a little battery shut off over here. The exhaust roots out the side and just over the tracks there. Nice little stand-on platform that can be folded up and locked out of the way in case you want to walk behind the machine as you're operating it. There's a little gauge set up here where we got a horn, we got a light, and the light's pretty bright. It's an LED. It does a hell of a job. So you can see I got 28 hours on it now. Got a battery meter, and that's the hydraulic oil temperature there, which is reading 0 currently. So this little engine, whatever it is, I'm not really familiar with these Chinese knockoff engines, if that's what it is. But this thing starts up every time instantly. I just pull the choke, a quick flick on the starter switch, push the choke in immediately, and it just I just let it warm up, and then increase the throttle a little bit and go to work. There's the control system up here, and what's really important with these stand-on skid steers is that you're going to get bounced around a little bit while you're operating them, so you really need to use these rests here to operate the controls, because if you move and then you move a control, you're just going to make everything worse. So these are really handy and they work really well. I've had no issues with that. I've got 40 years running a skid steer, so I have that as a bit of an advantage. The control system was pretty easy to get used to. It's track forward right, track forward left, or back here, and the track forward. And then this is the bucket tilt here. So this is a tilt up, tilt down. And then this is boom up and boom down. So it was pretty easy to get a handle on. Nice little throttle control there. It seems to work great. The choke cable seems a little Mickey Mouse. It just feels kind of loose, but when you realize it's just a cable running to a standard little, essentially what's a snowblower engine, you kind of expect that. So I'm just gentle with this stuff so I don't break anything. Got a good set of tracks on it that have done well. I haven't need to adjust the tension on any of these, either of these tracks in 30 hours. So far, there's a little screw adjustment in here. It's not a hydraulic adjustment like some of the bigger machines. It's just a rod that you lengthen or shorten in order to adjust your track tension. The one thing I do notice with these is that because I've been operating on gravel, and if you do a turn on the spot or you pick up dirt or gravel in this area here, it'll get kind of in between there and get impinged between your idler wheel and the track, and then you'll hear a bang and rocks will go flying and break and everything. So it's better probably in dirt than it is on gravel, but if you do nice arcing turns on the gravel, you can really minimize that, and you really want to minimize the stress on these idlers. They don't have a greasable bearing, so they're probably a sealed bearing, and the last thing you want is those to pop out, and I fully expect that to be my first repair. If that happens, the question is, where do I get them? So I did send an email off to Machpro, and they said they could supply me with parts, so we'll see if I need them. But the machine has quite a bit of lifting capability, and I actually got, for $159, I got a little set of clamp-on forks for small stuff that I can attach right to the bucket. So I've got pallet forks there. I would rather have had the pallet forks that replace the bucket. You pop the bucket off and put on a set of pallet forks, and that way your center of gravity is closer to the machine and you could lift more. But in a pinch, these things should help out moving some stuff around on pallets or other equipment. So zero complaints so far. It's running really well, and like I said, I've been able to push quite a bit of dirt, clay, been able to cut grade with it, of course backfill, move material around. I will say that the track speed and the controls are quite slow, so this is not a fast machine. It's not like a brand name skid steer, which is a real skid steer. I look at this more as a self-propelled and powered shovel and wheelbarrow, and if you look at it that way, you'll be more than pleased. So that's about it so far. I'm pretty happy that it saved my back. I've probably already it's probably already paid for itself in terms of rental if I wanted to go rent a machine. We were talking about the track speed there, and there is a flow controls here on these two here, which I haven't really fiddled with, but if I turn them up a bit, I think maybe I'll get more speed out of both the drive and the control system. So I may experiment with that, but I'm not sure if it's a balance there, and I might screw around with the, it might heat the hydraulic up faster, or I'm not sure, but we'll see. I'll play with that in the future. So far, no electrical problems. Like I said, it starts like a dam, goes to work, does what it's supposed to do. One thing you want to do is replace that engine oil after your break-in period, and then follow the manual for its recommended oil change times, as well as the hydraulic oil. So it says, I think, the 50 hours you should change the hydraulic oil, And then after 250 hours, and then after that you can go with 500 hours is I think what I saw in the manual. Easy enough to do. You can just you could probably just pull that sensor plug down there to drain oil, or you can siphon it out with an evacuator, which is probably the easiest way to do it in retrospect. Don't forget a grease gun, and make sure you check over your machine really good before you put it to work to make sure all the fittings and everything are tight. Haven't had any leaks whatsoever in it, either from the engine or the hydraulic system, so that's good. And overall I can say I'm pretty pleased. I wish it did have the oil cooler, and you can see there's some, I can only take this to mean there's a oil cooler attachment point there for it, and then it hinges down and rests on this part here. But yeah, that's the Machpro MPS330, and yeah, leave any questions you have in the comments and I'll respond. Cheers.